Doing a great job. And you know, our last speaker, none of these Southeast Michigan leaders could get him on the phone. And, you know, I live in Kalamazoo, and, you know, Winnie Brinks isn't talking to any of these Southeast Michigan leaders. They have no representation. And so I said, we're going to start a Southeast Michigan outreach office because there are some very smart leaders in Southeast Michigan. And they need somebody to listen to them and work with them to solve the problems of the people of Southeast Michigan. We've got some great reps there, people like Mark Tisdale, Donnie Steele, Riley Linting, Jim DeSanta, you know, Jamie Thompson, really good leaders that in Wayne County. You look at probably the new member who's getting the best reviews, Ron Robinson. People love Ron Robinson in Macomb County. So, you know, we got a lot of great leaders, and so we have a Southeast Michigan office. And I'll tell you what, I mean, you know, we meet with people like Warren Evans, who's just a fantastic county executive. He's doing a great job. And you know what's, I mean, the loyalty he has. He's worked with these people for 30 years that are in his department. He's doing a great job. So Mark Hackle, you know, we talked to him a lot, and his team. We're in touch with all of these Southeast Michigan leaders, Mayor Duggan. And, you know, it makes all the difference in the world when you're trying to solve a problem that, you know, Governor Whitmer has not been able to solve, which is fixing our roads. And so, and you saw, I mean, Governor Whitmer says that I'm the only legislative leader with the brains and the guts to introduce a roads plan. And that includes Winnie Brinks. It includes all the legislative leaders that have been there since she's been there. I'm the only one that's had the guts and the brains to introduce a plan. And you saw yesterday what a great job Pat Outman did. I mean, what a great chairman he is. And he moved those bills through committee, bipartisan. Very good job by Peter Hersberg, who's a great representative. He's the vice chair of that committee. He's a problem solver. And you see that it's a very bipartisan vote. Oh, we got Gideon coming up here? Okay. You're going to love these numbers, by the way. Thanks. It's very fine print. So we came up with this plan with Pat Outman, and you saw it just bipartisan, moved through committee yesterday to fix our roads. And but you can't do that without great partnerships, people like Warren Evans, Mark Hackle, others that we've been talking to. And these leaders in Wayne County, Macomb County, across Michigan are seeing that under the House Republicans' plan, they're going to get double the money in their counties. It's a big deal. And so you see these leaders who are stepping up and helping us and saying, you know what, I like this plan. I appreciate the leadership of the speaker. And we want to see this type of plan where we get roads fixed in our counties. I mean, imagine what Warren Evans, who's a very smart man, what he could do with double the money, all the roads he could fix. You look at Mark Hackle, who's a very smart person. He has a whole plan, and he told me, he said, I'm telling you, if you give me the money, I know exactly which roads I'm going to fix. And so, you know, I give these are actual Democrat leaders, unlike this Ranjiv Puri, who's totally drowning, has no idea what he's doing. And as I've told you, a lot of his members are saying to me, we made a mistake putting him in there. We should have stuck with Tate. Think about that. But I'm just going to say, I mean, but you look at this is very fine print, but under this plan we introduced, I mean, it's a 244% increase for the city of Detroit, just moving over to cities. And one thing our people are telling me, you know, they've worked here for years and years at the Capitol. I've never seen a roads plan where the townships, the cities, and the counties are all supportive. I mean, I read this quote yesterday from the Township Association. I don't know if it's in here, but you know, I read this quote. I mean, it was a glowing quote about our roads plan. And that's a very tough group to satisfy. Those of you who've been around a long time know it. They fight hard for their townships. But you know what? They're very supportive of what we said. You know, the Michigan Municipal League is very supportive. They look at what we call the Neighborhood Roads Fund, Neighborhood Roads Fund. This is gonna be a huge boost for our urban roads, huge for the cities. And like I said, I mean, with Detroit getting a 244% increase under our plan, this is $252 million of new money into Detroit, or that's the total. So, you know, that's a pretty big deal for Detroit. I mean, if I was a Detroit state representative and I was voting today, I think I would vote to put $252 million more into the roads of Detroit to double a 244% increase. That's a big deal. Honestly, it's a very big deal. You know, I just look at some of these. I'm just looking at Sterling Heights. Everybody know where that is in Macomb County? This is, again, a 244% increase in funding for Sterling Heights. They get like $15.8 million now. They're going to get $38.8 million total if this passes today. That's a 244% increase for Sterling Heights. This is just the cities. We're not even talking about what Macomb County gets, which is double what they get now, what Wayne County gets, which is double what they get now. This is just what these cities are getting. Warren is a really important city in Macomb County. They're going to get a 243% increase under this plan. This is going to be $44 million they're going to get instead of the $18 million they get now. That's a pretty big deal for Warren. So you start going through all these numbers in Macomb and Wayne County. They're going to get a lot of money if this plan passes today. So I feel good. I think you look at it, I mean, by fixing the roads, by prioritizing local roads, our city roads, our county roads, our local roads, village roads, and prioritizing those because those are the roads that need it the most, our local roads, the ones we take from the driveway to the highway. If we do that, we're going to make a difference for the people of Michigan, something they actually see and they feel in terms of fixing our roads. And so I would think that everybody will vote for this today. They should, but I do think you'll see a bipartisan vote on all of these bills because we're going to prioritize fixing our local roads over giveaways to a select few corporations, the most connected corporations in the state. We're going to prioritize fixing our roads. That's what we're going to do. And it's going to be a great vote today, and we'll win. We'll move it through the House. And, you know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. When was the last time something this big moved through the House? I mean, it's a big deal. So we're going to move it. We're going to have a great vote today. And the most important thing is this is going to be one step closer to fixing our local roads all across our cities and counties, all across our state. It's going to be a great thing today. So we're really looking forward to that vote. And it's going to be big. And by the way, what is the Senate Democrats' roads plan? You know, it's crickets. No plan, just hating on our plan, no plan. But, you know, there's going to be House Democrats that vote for this. Just like yesterday, did you see there were 7 House Democrats who voted to reverse the Democrat income tax hike yesterday? It passed with 65 votes. So, you know, we all remember, and this is important for your stories, the Democrats raised the income tax last year. It used to be lower. Now it was 4.05. It went up. And so we're going to put it back to 4.05 where it should be. And I read your stories where you talk about, you know, the impact of this. I'm just saying, okay, so the tax was 4.05. They raised it. Is it okay to raise taxes just because it's only going to cost a little bit? Where does that stop? They raised it. We're going to put it back where it should be under the law. You want to talk about guarantees and contracts? What about the fact that every Michigan worker and small business knew that the income tax was supposed to go to 4.05 and it was supposed to stay there? And when they raised it back to 4.25, they broke that commitment to every Michigan small business and worker that if inflation was outpaced significantly by government growth, then the money would be returned to the taxpayers. That money should be in the hands of the taxpayers, and government has stolen it from the taxpayers, and we're going to give it back. And it's so popular, you even saw 7 Democrats vote for it yesterday. And then I read some of your stories. You say, this is unlikely to move in the Senate. And I will just tell you this, okay? This is part of the budget negotiation. We're going to do a budget that's going to reverse the Democrat income tax hike, a very popular idea. You saw 7 Democrats vote for that yesterday. And we're going to fix the roads without raising taxes. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to do it in this budget. You know that Governor Whitmer has grown state government by 43%. People understand we can do it. If we prioritize roads above corporate giveaways, we can fix our roads without raising taxes, and we show how to do that. And I just want to, let you guys know. I mean, you look at I'll just say this, you look at a plan that's going to cause mass layoffs across our state. Look at Governor Whitmer's plan. She wants to raise the corporate income tax. She wants to raise taxes on the marijuana industry. She wants to create taxes and ban flavors on vape. She wants to tax digital advertising. She wants to tax deliveries. She wants to tax heavy trucks, all kinds of things. She wants to raise taxes all over the place. That's what's going to lead to layoffs. I'm just saying this, like you look at this, the corporations are going to have to pay one way or the other. It's just, are the 8 or 10 most connected corporations, are they going to give up their special giveaways? This is checks from the state of Michigan for hundreds of millions of dollars to the 8 or 10 most connected corporations in the state. Or are we going to do Governor Whitmer's plan, which is raise taxes on every business in Michigan? They all pay. Instead of, so do 8 or 10 pay, or do all of them pay? I'm just saying everyone should be treated equally. Every corporation in Michigan should be treated the same. They pay the same tax rate, and nobody gets the special carve-outs and giveaways. Nobody gets hundreds of millions of dollars from the state of Michigan, and I think today you're going to see Republicans and Democrats agree with that. So we're going to do a lot of great things. We're going to finally pass the bill to ensure that all of the money collected at the pump goes to roads, all of it. I mean, you see these people, they do these studies and it says Michigan has a high amount of taxes collected at the pump and one of the lowest percentages of the money collected at the pump that actually goes to roads. So what we're going to do is we're going to ensure that all of the money collected at the pump goes to roads. We're going to do that today. So there's a lot of really good things that are going to happen. I mean, we're infusing over $3.1 billion of new money into roads. And that's basically doubling the amount of money that goes into roads. So that's really going to help, and we're ensuring that it goes to our local roads. It's going to be a very good thing. I'm just, I know you guys, some of you guys like to talk about Sunshine Week. Now, what I hear is the Democrats, the Senate Democrats, now we know what they've been doing, right? They've been suing me. They've been passing resolutions criticizing Trump. Yesterday, they affirmed their statement of principles on DEI. I don't know, did they do anything today? Are they even here today?
They voted to set the commission that
Okay.
was proposed last.
They're creating new commissions. That's what we need, new commissions. So I'm just saying, the Senate Democrats, I'm going to tell you what I hear they're doing. They're working on a bill. I think this is their next priority. They're working on a bill to go to the Mackinac Conference for free. That's what they're doing. They're working on legislation to get free trips for politicians worth thousands of dollars to the Mackinac Island, Detroit Chamber Conference. That's what these guys are working on during Sunshine Week, okay? What I'm saying is we have something they can do because they're not doing anything. They're creating commissions, they're suing me. I mean, are there any other courts they could sue me in? They're suing me in every court. And you remember they tried to serve me in front of the cameras because it's such a political lawsuit, and they lost that. We saw what happened there. They didn't even try to appeal that. They're appealing everything, but they didn't appeal that. And by the way, you saw the vote on the floor. We were working on our thorough legal review, and then the body spoke. And I was looking, I was watching the vote. There were several Democrats that I saw voting aye. Aye! I'm watching these Democrats, and they're voting aye with the Republicans, just like we saw on the income tax vote. We are leading, and we're bringing people together, Republicans and Democrats. So you look at that direction from the body, it is what it is. That's what the body is telling us to do. We can only present bills that were passed by both chambers in the 103rd legislature. That's all we can do. And what a mess from the Democrats. I mean, you look at this. They didn't present bills. They didn't do a book closing. They didn't even have a proper sine die adjournment. It was a mess when we took over. Thank goodness that we have adults leading the House now, people like me that are actually leading this chamber, and they say this is the most productive first quarter they've seen in a long time in the House. But anyway, while these guys are trying to go to the Mackinac Chamber Conference for free, they could pass HEAT, the Hall Ethics, Accountability, and Transparency Plan. We could close the revolving door. We could stop the politicians from becoming lobbyists. We could stop the lobbyists, and then they want to, what they want to do? This is these people, they're working on becoming, they want free trips, the politicians in the Senate. Well, we've had Democrats that have served as lobbyists while they're working as state representatives. So we're going to ban that too. And only Democrats could think of this, and politicians, is I'm going to lobby, but in other states, and I don't have a conflict of interest, we're going to end that. We're going to end the revolving door, and we're going to stop the politicians from being lobbyists while they're working for the people of Michigan. We're going to ban the non-disclosure agreements. You look at this, the politicians are signing non-disclosure agreements with the big corporations and the MEDC so they don't tell you what special deals they're spending with your tax dollars. That's going to stop when we pass HEAT through the Senate and get it to the governor. We created a new oversight committee with robust subpoena power, and you might see that subpoena power very soon if Jocelyn Benson doesn't turn over the documents that have been requested. I mean, you look at this. These are just training manuals on our elections, and they won't turn them over, but we're going to get them one way or the other. And I hope we do it voluntarily, but if it requires a subpoena, you're going to see that very soon. So there's a lot going on, and you look at this. One of the key elements of this budget is going, and did you see the websites up? Has anyone submitted on the website? I don't know if Gideon's. We have the website where you have to disclose your earmarks. And that site is up. It went up last week. And the politicians are already starting to put their earmarks on there. And I'll just say, you look at that, you're going to see what they are. You're going to see who's asking for them, who's the beneficiary, what is the benefit for the public, and when is it going to be done. You're going to see that, and I'm looking forward to your reporting on that. And if they don't follow the criteria in our House rule, it's not getting funded. It's never getting funded unless they disclose it according to the House rule. We don't need the Senate Democrats to agree. It's in our House rule. It will be the way it goes. We will not vote on a budget unless the earmarks are disclosed under our process. That's the way it's going to be. We are going to force transparency on the state budget through our new House rule to require these secret pet projects by politicians to be disclosed before the vote. So that is ethics, accountability, and transparency, and it's real ethics, accountability, and transparency. And truthfully, I think you all should write stories and editorials talking about this during Sunshine Week. I think it would be a fair way to do your journalism. So I'll stop there, and if there are any questions. And they tell me that a fire alarm is going to go off in the middle of this, so hopefully you're all ready for that. You think it'll go off, a tornado siren? I mean, I'll just stand here for it, but if you guys want to seek shelter, you can. It's probably why Skubik's not here today. Anyway, any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Simon. And you notice, Simon, everybody, I mean, you're getting all these letters, so, man, you see this? Every letter, he gets it first, so great job. You got some good sources there.
You had spoken kind of poorly of this legislation in the Senate to essentially allow broad exemptions for tickets.
Oh, yeah.
For lawmakers.
Yeah.
As the Senate comes to the House, what would you vote?
Well, look, I mean, we're always willing to look at it and consider. But, you know, I just saying, I think there are a lot better things we could be doing right now than trying to figure out how to give ourselves free trips to the Mackinac Island Chamber Conference. That's just what I think. I mean, you see what we're doing? We're moving roads legislation. We're moving education legislation. We're reversing the Democrat income tax hike. We sent them over a $20 billion government shutdown prevention plan, which is really important. I mean, you see Mallory McMorrow and the Senate Democrats, all they're doing is talking about the government shutting down. They've been doing this since October. I'm just responding to them, and I'm saying stop using our police and fire, stop using our jails, prisons, stop using our teachers and kids and local governments and courts and veterans as pawns in your political shutdown game. Stop doing it. I mean, we can fund that here in March. We don't, I mean, they are trying to protect very unpopular programs, and they will shut down the government because of it. And we're just saying, stop. These are essential services that the people of Michigan need, whether it's their veterans' homes, their local governments, their police, their schools. We can fund those now. Those are not controversial. We can fund those now in March. We can fund them now. Stop playing political games, Senate Democrats. So, you know, that's what we should be focusing on instead of suing me, criticizing Donald Trump, passing their principles of DEI, and now they're trying to get themselves free trips to the Mackinac Conference. It's amazing what politicians are focused on. And it's good spring break's coming up. Maybe they'll be back in the real world in their districts.
Speaker Hall, would you rather see a road funding plan pass that increases revenue or none at all? No plan passed at all?
Well, like I said, I mean, we are increasing revenue. We're increasing revenue by making the corporations, the most connected corporations in the state, pay the same rate as everybody else. I mean, Jennifer Granholm, years ago, gave these special deals for billions to the most connected corporations in Michigan. And you see, it's $500 million a year, most of which goes to GM, $300 million. They're writing them these checks every year. We're saying, stop the special favors for the 8 or 10 most connected corporations in Michigan, and instead, put everybody on the same tax rate. Treat everybody fairly. But I oppose her plan, which is to raise taxes on everybody to protect the 8 or 10 most connected corporations in Michigan. Her plan is going to lead to layoffs when you raise taxes on every business in Michigan. So to me, we are providing new revenue, and we're doing it by getting that mega credit money back into the tax rolls and putting it to roads.
But I did want to follow up on that because that $500 million of mega money, that is only until those agreements expire, which is 2032.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had some subs added to the House bills yesterday where, you know, this sub was added to earmark dollars for local revenue funding because, you know, townships were afraid that that money would diminish with the plan that exists. And so that's taking away, you know, your overall money for budgeting for, there's a lot of backfilling that's happening to protect things that are already budgeted for.
Mm-hmm.
Does that kind of demonstrate that there might be a need for an increase in revenue to truly make this a long-term road funding plan? Is there a discussion to be had?
And you saw, what was Winnie Brinks doing? She was meeting with Grimace. Did you guys see those pictures? There's the tornado alarm. It isn't that loud in here, so we can proceed, or will it get louder? Can you hear that on the Can the Midwesterner viewers hear that? What? Oh, okay. Are you guys ready for that? Hopefully it doesn't. I mean, you get a lot of people on the Midwesterner stream. It's amazing. Great job, by the way, Midwesterner. But anyway, until I'm waiting, I'm trying to filibuster till the tornado because it's such a tough question. But I'll just say this: what we did is we ensured that the local governments would have their revenue sharing, and that's where you're talking to some of the Democrats, people like Karen Whitsett and others who are offering their perspective. And so we're trying to work together with Democrats. It's pretty funny, isn't it? But it hasn't gone off in here yet, though. I thought there were going to be sirens in here, but it's not. Is there going to be sirens in here? Okay, it's just the one outside. So you saw that we worked with Karen Whitsett and others to put that revenue sharing back in there because she felt that was so important for Detroit, and she had a good point. So we wanted to make sure we're funding our cities. And you see the MML, what do they call it? The Michigan Municipal League. They have glowing things to say about our plan. You see the townships, and they're a very tough group to please. The townships, they're saying very positive things. Did you see even the unions, the Michigan laborers are supporting the Hall Roads plan that we saw from the House Republicans. So you're seeing a lot of Democrats. Warren Evans has been really great to work with. Mark Hackel, a lot of Democrats. So what I would say on this is we're going to take away the mega credits. That's going to get us $500 million a year. Whitmer's plan is to raise the corporate income tax. What?
Until 2030.
Yeah, and Whitmer's plan is to raise the corporate income tax. And we saw Farhad introduce that. What is it? Raise it from to 6.5 to 8 or whatever it is. It generates about 700 and some million that they do. My thing is, when Governor Whitmer's gone, because remember, I'll be there 6 years, hopefully. They're gone after 2 years. So we're going to get a solution here that's going to solve this problem. And then we'll look at it again when Whitmer's gone and we have other players. You're going to have a new governor and a new Senate. And we can look at that time on what are other solutions. A lot of people talk about this vehicle miles traveled. They talk about a lot of things. Those are conversations we'll have after Whitmer's gone.
So your long-term road funding solution is a 2-year road funding solution?
No, I'm just saying we can look, I mean, we're going to make a lot of cuts in this budget. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're going through this budget, and we're going to make a lot of cuts. I gave you a very simple way to do this, all right, which is dedicating $2.2 million from the corporate income tax. And I've showed you very simply how you can do that without cutting any government program. All you're doing is taking the money away from the corporations, you're ending the earmarks, and you're using the surplus money, all right? But we're also going to go through that budget line by line, and we're going to work it, and we're going to find things that are less important, and we're going to prioritize roads. And what I'm saying is when we do this budget, we're going to prioritize roads. That's why you dedicated off the top to roads. So roads aren't competing with all these other programs, all right? I'm just saying we fund it, but let's say we give them the $3.1 billion. They still think they need $3.8 billion. So you're going to keep working this, even though we're going to double it. They still think they need more money. They're always going to think they need more money. So we're going to keep looking at those solutions, but the biggest point here is roads needs to be dedicated. Roads needs to be the top priority. It needs to come off the top instead of what they do, which is they fund it like we've been doing. What is it? They take $600 million every year out of the general fund and they put it into roads, and that competes with universities and it competes with everything else, all these new programs. We want to take it off the top and dedicate it because what I've seen, I used to believe that it was smart to give the politicians a bunch of discretionary money. I no longer think that. I've been here 6 years now, and I watch what they do with the money. And when there's money sitting around, they all feel like they have to create new programs or new projects. Well, what happens is they create all those new programs and projects, and like the foundational thing that we all said we were going to do, we didn't do, which was fix the roads. So that's why you dedicate it to roads and you let them fight about everything else. When those things expire, we'll work to make more cuts. But also, I think there will come a point with new people, new players, where you're going to have another conversation. But imagine if we would have done this in Whitmer's first year. We had the money. Remember they said, we don't have the money. We had the money, the way it played out.
Speaker Hall, can you describe to us what your negotiating relationship looks like with Senator Anthony and the governor right now? You know, last week when you passed the appropriations bills, Senator Anthony said that governing through a press conference was no way to govern. You're sending bills, road funding bills that likely don't have a future there. What does that relationship look like right now?
Wow, I mean, likely don't have a future. I mean, the way I would say it is this is the closest we've ever come under Whitmer to having a roads plan funded. I mean, remember, no Democrat would even introduce Whitmer's plan, the 45-cent gas tax increase. I guess introducing a plan probably put us closer than we've ever been. But we not only introduced it, we passed it through committee, and we're going to pass it today, and it's a serious plan. You look, MIDA supports it, the laborers, the unions support it, many local government officials support it, the cities, the counties, the townships, and our people say they've never seen it where they all support it like that. So this is actually the closest we've ever come to getting a deal on roads. Look, I mean, Sarah Anthony, I know how she's going to approach this, the way she does every negotiation. What's in it for Lansing? We all know, I mean, Sarah Anthony is the biggest Lansing insider. And I read her comments. You know, she says, I'm negotiating with Ann Boland. Well, you know, do you think Winnie Brinks wants to negotiate the budget head-to-head with me? I'll do that if she'll agree to it. I'll negotiate the budget with Winnie Brinks. But, you know, I'll tell you what, I also think Ann Boland is a mismatch for Sarah Anthony. Ann Boland, you saw her up here. She knows the budget better than anybody, and we're going to win the budget negotiations because Ann Boland is that good. Even going up against Sarah Anthony and all of Lansing on her side. So we're going to win the budget negotiations, and we have to do a budget. But I've told them we're not doing your book closing just because you are disorganized unless you take these, the veterans, the kids, the teachers, the police, take it off the table. Don't use them as pawns in a political game about shutting down the government, and then we'll help you with your book closing. You know, I'll say this, I mean, Sam Singh, we saw him, he's a very extreme Democrat, but you know what, when he put his politics aside, we could work a deal. He knew the details, he understood the ins and outs, and we came to a pretty good agreement with him on ESTA and the tip credit. So we've demonstrated that we can do it, but you know, my hope is by demonstrating this moving through the House, they're going to be hearing over spring break from their local governments. They're going to be hearing from their road builders. They're going to be hearing from many people, their unions, the laborers saying, put a roads plan on the table. So I hope we get it done. We should get it done, and this is the closest we've ever been to getting done, something that all of you should celebrate. Because aren't you tired of covering this story? I mean, 6 years of Whitmer. Wouldn't it be nice if you could write the story? We doubled the money for roads in a bipartisan deal. Wouldn't that be a nice story to write? Well, it's going to happen.
What do you think the points of negotiation are? Like you talking about ESTA and wage, you know, you were able to very clearly kind of lay out for us, you know, what the House wanted to make sure it kept, where you were willing to kind of move towards Senate Dem, what the conversation was. Where is that with what we have for roads right now?
Well, the challenge is the Senate Democrats have no plan. And I would call it a negative governing philosophy. And the unfortunate thing, it started with their weak leader, Ranjit Puri, and we see he's drowning. This guy has no solutions. All he does is hate on any plan on the table. So that is a negative governing philosophy. Now, when I was minority leader, you saw we put forward the mission for Michigan. We had a positive governing plan, and we're executing it right now. You look at everything we're doing, we're executing it, and you can go look at it on the mission for Michigan. But you see these bills that are getting introduced. I mean, you saw the bills on the foreign interference. You see legislation on energy, on nuclear getting introduced and in committees. The Public Safety Trust Fund just got introduced that we're going to do in April. And you saw we were up here with Todd Bettison, the Detroit police chief, and all of those great county sheriffs and prosecutors. And we're going to, not only are we going to double the money in Detroit's roads and many of our cities' roads, we're gonna give them a big shot in the arm in funding for their local police. This will be the first time in the history of Michigan where the state money is going directly to the local police departments and county police departments. We're going to do that. We're going to give them a shot in the arm, and we're going to help them so they have the tools and the resources and the equipment they need to defend our cities and to reduce crime and make the cities safer. So there's a lot going on here, but you know, Ranjiv Puri has this negative governing philosophy. He'll probably oppose that too, because he opposes everything. Well, now it's spreading to the Senate Democrats and Winnie Brinks and these people, and they have no plans of their own. They're just hating on other plans. So I think they're going to get a lot of pressure in their districts over spring break, and we'll see if they have a plan. We've seen Governor Whitmer's plan, you know, which is just to raise taxes on everybody, and that's going to lead to layoffs, mass layoffs. Governor Whitmer's plan. If you raise taxes on every business in Michigan, it's going to lead to mass layoffs. I would just say, though, that we're going to have a bipartisan plan today, something that nobody else has. And half of it she already agrees to, which is putting all of the money into roads and all the money collected at the pump into roads and the $500 million in cuts. Yeah, Beth?
You mentioned that the personal income tax cut will be part of the budget negotiations. What do you mean when a budget won't get passed unless that income tax cut?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, so I've told you, I'm the leader of the anti-establishment up here in Lansing, and we're going up against the ultimate Lansing insider in Sarah Anthony. And so the way that they've worked up here in Lansing for years is, ever since Whitmer got there, is one side says, all right, I'm going to get, say, $500 million to stuff my supporters with projects, and you get $500 million and you can give your supporters projects. That's the way they're used to negotiating. We're not going to do that. Okay, I've demonstrated through, and the House Republicans have demonstrated, we're requiring disclosure on these projects. We're requiring them to provide a public benefit. Now, in a weaponized government, I understand why we may need special projects because, you know, you have, I mean, you saw there were so many tractors circling this building yesterday, and there were so many people that didn't want to testify in front of oversight because they know if they testify in oversight, they could be punished by the Whitmer administration, and they're concerned. In a weaponized government, you have to worry about that. Likewise, you know, some of our local districts may get punished by Democrats in a weaponized government, and so we need to have the ability to reverse that through a process of a transparent process where we could put projects in the budget for a local road or something in our district. But I would say that is going to be a lot smaller than what it's ever been before, and we're not going to be pushing for that stuff. What we're going to be pushing for is to look at these programs, to look at which ones have the best return on investment for taxpayers, and to eliminate the ones that don't have good return on investment and replace it with reversing the Democrat income tax hike, putting more money back into the pockets of the people of Michigan, money that was stolen by the government through this tax they put on there that was never supposed to be like that, breaking their commitment to the taxpayers of Michigan by increasing that tax. And we're going to fund the roads without raising taxes. We're going to set better priorities. And I would just argue, you know, the Democrats like to poll test everything. Fixing the roads or some of these less popular programs, the people are going to agree with us. Let's fix the roads. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fund that in the budget. We're gonna show them how, and then we'll see what they do. But, so I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, and we will look at which programs are gonna get cut. You know, that's important, but there's gonna be cuts. This is I mean, you look at this, they created, I mean, 2 years ago, we didn't need these programs. And they shoved them all in there. You know what I mean? We didn't have them, like before Whitmer, we didn't have any of these programs. So many of them we don't need. We've survived without them. And then she has some good modern ideas too. You know, and so we need to fund those. And then we look at the ones that have been around. I mean, I would bet you there are programs that probably predate John Engler that are still there. Are they working? And how do we measure them? That's what we're going to do. Yeah, Colin.
Why leave DHHS out of the shutdown prevention plan? Democrats are pointing to that as an example, saying that it's not serious considering DHHS is already such a big part of the state's budget.
Well, you know, what I look at is what are the things that they're going to point. Now, watch this. All right, so when they forced the government shutdown, the Senate Democrats, and you see Mallory McMorrow, she wants to shut down the government just to prove herself right. She's been talking about it since October. What are the things that they're going to do? They're going to shut down the police departments. They're going to close the schools. They're going to shut down the prisons. They're going to close the local governments. They're going to complain about local police. They're going to close the courts. They're going to close the veterans' homes. These are the things that the Democrats are going to do. And I'm just saying, in March, we could prevent that by funding those things. Those are not the controversial things. Now, with Medicaid, Medicaid is a very large part of the budget. Medicaid is $25 billion. Our government shutdown prevention plan was $20 billion, okay? So just Medicaid is about $25 billion. There's a lot of things going on the federal level there too. So I think that we really need to go through a committee process like we normally would and work through that. It's $25 billion. Secondly, Medicaid, anyone who gets Medicaid will get Medicaid even if the Democrats shut down the government. They will get it. Now, let's say the Democrats shut down the government for a week. Well, the providers may not get paid for a week, but they will get their Medicaid coverage. So it's a $25 billion program. I think it would really benefit through going through a committee. But remember, this is not a budget. This is a government shutdown prevention plan, looking at the things the Democrats are going to use as pawns, and they already are using as pawns in this game they're playing about leveraging schools and teachers and police and veterans for the very unpopular programs they want to fund in the state budget. It's disgusting what they're doing. Yeah. Oh, great. Hey, nice to see you.
The advisory for this press conference had mentioned a discussion of education reform.
Oh, yeah.
Anything to say there?
Sure. Yeah, you see all of our bills moving through the House. I mean, look at what we did last week. We moved some bills through the House. So we're going to keep trying to move bills through the House this week. I mean, you see what we're doing on education. I mean, this legislation that we have that's going to ensure that the schools, they have a transparent place where you can go to measure the performance of every school. I mean, you look at this, you know, we don't want to go back to the A through F discussion, just because it was politically charged. We're trying to do things that are actually going to happen. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put up a website, which already exists, but we're going to make it actually work. There's going to be a compare function. There's going to be actual measurable things on there, things like you look at it now, you'll have the assessments on there, something that's not on there. Give the parents information that they will actually use, and then tell them it's there, communicate it's there, and then ensure that there's a compare function. So we need to start measuring our schools. You're going to see legislation moving this week or next week on bringing back phonics. The Democrats started this with us last year. You saw Kathy Schmaltz and Jamie Green leading this. They did it in the dyslexia situations, but we're going to bring that back to all education. We're going to train the teachers in it. We're going to bring the science and evidence-based reading back, like phonics, because you look at phonics, it's working, and our reading scores are horrible in Michigan. They're terrible. They're one of the worst. Even Governor Whitmer agrees with that, and she said it during her State of the State. We're going to require a focus on real-life skills by putting more flexibility into the Michigan merit curriculum and allowing dual enrollment with trade schools, allowing classes that have more practical application than Algebra 2 to get it to go towards your education, whether it's computer science type classes or other things, and the technical skills that'll be a lot better. Construction math, accounting, computer coding. So those are some of the things we're going to do. So there's so much going on, and I hope you guys will talk about education. But you look at this, last week we moved education. This week we're moving education. We're going to keep moving education. We're doing it while we're doing roads, while we're reversing a Democrat income tax hike. And then you compare that to what the Senate's doing. They're suing me. They're passing resolutions about Trump and affirming their principles of DEI, and they're working on free trips for themselves to the Mackinac Conference. And you wonder why they have such a low approval rating. Any other questions? Why don't you ask a question?
Speaking on what we're talking about education, the government shutdown prevention plan later today, Senator Anthony's going to have a meeting with the superintendent in Nestle on funding cuts, potential funding cuts, federal funding cuts on education.
Yeah.
If that happens too, Michigan budget, I'm sure your thoughts on that.
Yeah, once again, like I said, the House Republicans are leading here in Lansing. Everyone else, all they're doing is the Democrats, they're criticizing Trump. They're affirming their principles of DEI. I mean, you saw a lot of Democrats last week vote for boys and girls sports in K through 12. I mean, it was crazy. I'll just say this, okay? With the Federal Department of Education, we should all support bringing those decisions down to the local level and the state level. I mean, what a great opportunity we would have in the state of Michigan if they eliminate the Federal Department of Education and they take that money and they bring it down to the states and they give the states discretion on how to use that money in a way, because you know what? We talk to our local superintendents, we talk to our local school boards, we talk with our State Board of Education, our teachers, parents, and we are on the level where we can make the decisions with that money that will actually help improve scores in Michigan. So, taking it out of a big federal bureaucracy and bringing that money down to the states and empowering the states to do the best things for their state, I think that'd be a great conversation between Governor Whitmer and the House Republicans on what we can do with more resources, but we have the discretion on how to best use it to help our schools. That's a very positive thing. And Democrats like Dana Nessel should stop prosecuting their political opponents, engaging in frivolous lawsuits, and politicizing everything. And they should do more work for the people of Michigan. Here, let me ask him, just because you've had a lot of questions. Isn't she on a roll today? And then I'm going to go to David Eggert, and then if Gideon says her time, I'll go to you. But David, he's been writing incredible stories. So if he has a question, I'm going to ask him. Yeah. And this is going to be tough because usually he helps Skubik. Yeah.
On the roads plan, in year one, how much of this is just reorganizing how to get the funding done and whatnot, and what does it mean for the ongoing years? So, like, what's going to be different about this year to have some maybe big impacts because you're moving money around?
Yeah.
And how does that help or hurt going forward?
No, that's a great question. So we're going to take the money and we're going to dedicate it from the corporate income tax to roads. That's what we're going to do. And by doing that, we're creating a permanent revenue stream for roads. Now, there's going to be other things we do in the future to put more money into roads, but we need to dedicate it off the top because what's happening now is it's going into a discretionary pool, and it's competing with new government programs, it's competing with all kinds of things, universities, all kinds of things. We want to take it off the table for discretion, and we want to dedicate it off the top. So that's what we're going to do. I've shown how we can do it just by prioritizing roads over big corporations and special projects for politicians. I haven't even gotten into yet what we could do once we start going through our budget, finding value for your dollar. I mean, there may be even more money we can put into roads.
It's similar with the shifting of money at the tax, at the gas pump, the taxes there.
Yeah, and you see what we're going to do. We're going to backfill off the sales tax. We're going to dedicate the sales tax to the schools. That's what we're going to do. And then we'll dedicate some to the Public Safety Trust Fund, you know. And again, I think it's important that we start dedicating this money and setting priorities like schools, roads, Public Safety Trust Fund, because otherwise it goes into these pots, and the politicians don't spend it on smart things. They waste it on earmarks, pet projects, new programs, and then they come and you see proposals from Whitmer. Remember, we had a $9 billion surplus last year. Now we're hearing proposals about we need to raise the corporate income tax, we need to raise all kinds of money. Well, they wasted it, they blew it. So it didn't work when we gave them the discretion. Let's dedicate it to the priorities. Yeah, David. So, and this, I think it requires a higher threshold, and this is part of our education plan. We're building consensus. I mean, you have this very weak leader in the House, Ranjiv Puri, who's totally drowning and lost and is against everything. So we'll see what happens with him. He has a very negative governing philosophy, which you've seen. But, you know, there were some conversations on this last year, talking to Jeff Donofrio and some of the business leaders for Michigan folks. And, you know, my position on it has been, I think we should do it. I think that, you know, how frustrating is it that a governor is responsible for the performance on education and then has a superintendent that doesn't work for her? And you see, we probably have the worst superintendent in the entire country in Michael Rice. I mean, did you see Timmy Beeson yesterday? Ask him. The question all of us have been asking ourselves for probably a year or more, how do you still have a job after this terrible performance in our schools? They should fire him. Well, once we put this under a governor, I think a governor will find somebody for that role that will do a much better job. But the superintendent should be accountable to the governor, and the governor can hire and fire that superintendent. You know, you'd have to talk to Governor Whitmer about what her views are on that, but it's my goal to try to move that through the House. And I hope that if Ranjiv Puri and, you know, supports, I hope he'll vote for it. But the good news is, you look at these votes like the income tax, his caucus isn't listening to him anyway. If we put it up for a vote, we'd probably have the votes. But we'll see. We're going to work through the committee process.
Speaker Hall, who do you think has a better relationship with President Trump right now? You or Governor Whitmer?
Well, I think that we have the best relationship with President Trump, so that's just my opinion. But why is that? Well, I think you know, I mean, I've supported President Trump from the beginning, going back to 2015. So we maintain a great relationship with him. And I think it's great that Governor Whitmer is embracing Trump, meeting with him, listening to him. You know, I think it's great. Hopefully she's learning from him. But you see her policies, and the thing, I mean, she now supports regulatory reform. That's something new. She's embraced our earmark disclosure. That's positive. So there's a lot of positive things happening. You saw her sign our ESTA and tip credit bills, and that was in return for nothing. So there's a lot of really positive going on with her. So I don't know if that's coming from her conversations and the influence of President Trump, but I'm very happy about the direction we see Governor Whitmer moving. And what I tell our people is, let's embrace this window and let's get stuff done, because we don't know how long she's going to be supporting a lot of our initiatives. So it's positive. And I hope she continues to meet with Trump. and hopefully he keeps rubbing off on her. It's very positive. So, all right, thanks everybody. They tell me session starts in 1 minute, so.